and I just got done watching 1990's Misery, starring James Caan, Kathy Bates, Richard Farnsworth and Frances Sternhagen. This one, oh my god, I have seen this so many times. And I enjoy it every single time. It's based on the book by Stephen King, and it is quite possibly the best adaptation of any of at least the novels. I guess you could argue that Stand By Me and Shawshank Redemption and Green Mile, well no, Green Mile was a novel, but certainly Shawshank and Stand By Me were based on novellas. So, but for me, this is certainly one of the best novel adaptations. It's been a while since I read the book, so I can't remember exactly how close this is. And there are some points in the movie that I can't remember if they're expanded upon in the book. But so for anybody who doesn't know, Misery is basically a very stern warning. It's about this writer, Paul Sheldon, played by James Caan, who's finishing up a new book. He's been writing a series of books based around a character called Misery, who he's gotten tired with. And in about the 8th book, he's decided to kill her off. And he's gone off to his normal kind of hideout to write this new piece. Except when he leaves there, he has an accident in a snowstorm, and he's rescued by Annie Wilkes, played by Kathy Bates, who is not ashamed to let everybody know, and the whole universe, that she is Paul Sheldon's #1 fan. So she takes him back to her house, and she puts on this kind of facade in a way of, you know, promising that she's nursing him back to health. She says that the phone lines are down and there's no way to contact anybody and stuff. And of course then when she slips up later on by going to the store and saying, oh well, I contacted your agent, and he's like, wait, the phones are working? And she's like, oh yeah, only that one, but it's alright, I contacted she has to quickly try and fill in. But the thing is she's not too keen on this new book that this new manuscript that he's got, that she finds upon his person in the car wreck. She has a read of that, and she doesn't like swearing and this, that and the other. And she doesn't like the complete change from Misery. And then she picks up a copy of this new Misery book from the store and finds out that he's killed Misery, and goes off her nut. She absolutely goes berserk. Violence and threatening, and there's all these little very subtle hints that something is very wrong with this woman. She has a very short temper, and then she lets slip that she was on some witness stand, and something about her husband leaving her, and there's all these little, if you're paying enough attention, there's all these little key points that make you realise that something's very, very wrong. And then you realise and it twigs that she's not actually going out of her way to contact anybody. She has no intention of letting this poor guy go. And basically it's his fight for survival as he tries to gain his health again. And he finds a hairpin, and he unlocks the door and he tries to get out and stuff, and that would be fine. He gets to do it twice, acquiring a knife on one of the times when she's left the house. Except she's clearly a stickler for detail, and notices that one of her penguins that got knocked off aside, isn't facing in the normal direction. So to deter Paul, shall we say, from trying to escape again, oh God, she does the famous hobbling scene, where she very kindly puts a block of wood between her legs, sledgehammer, whack, against the ankles, both of them, and oh my God, you know what? I don't care about today's CGI. I do not care even about practical effects. Just that is the scariest thing, the most disturbing and horrific thing. I cringe, and I don't know if it's because I've had bad ankles since I was a kid, but seriously, just watching it, I was sat there knowing it was coming. I thought it was a lot sooner in the movie than it actually is. But I'm sat there and I know it's coming, and I'm like cringing, and I'm like under the cover and stuff, and I'm just like, no. My cat just like looked at me like, okay. But yeah, it's basically his fight survival and trying to get out in the end. But oh my God, you know what? The funniest thing about this movie is, at the time that I first watched it, I was a teenager, and I didn't go through the screaming merchandise gathering kind of girly thing that other people that were fans of the boy bands of the time were going through, like Take That and Boyzone and all those kind of things. I liked older music, and I was, and still am, a fan of the 60s singer Gene Pitney. And at the time, in my little girly thing, I was like, I'm a #1 fan and all that stuff. And I tell you what, I saw this movie, and from then on, I have never ever considered myself a #1 fan of anything. Not Gene Pitney, not the X-Files, not anything. Because you know what, being a #1 fan is completely subjective. There's so many different, you can follow somebody obsessively, but that doesn't necessarily make you a #1 fan. I insist I'm an avid fan, but yeah, this movie completely and from the bottom of my heart honestly taught me that considering yourself a #1 fan is kind of creepy. I could rave about this movie for ages, about its pacing, about how it's so slow and brooding and just builds up to this climax. And yeah, you've got Richard Farnsworth as Buster, the sheriff, who is trying to investigate this disappearance of Paul Sheldon, and his wife, excellently played by Frances Sternhagen, and even Lauren Bacall in a special appearance role as Sheldon's agent. They're all brilliant, don't get me wrong, but this movie is all about Kathy Bates and James Caan. I'm a huge fan of Kathy Bates. I've always enjoyed stuff that she's in. I continue to this day to swear that Harry's Law was very underappreciated. Anything she's in, I always check out. Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to properly check out American Horror Story yet, but it's funny in a way when you see her in this, and then you see her in Dolores Claiborne, where she's this like abused wife who kills her husband. It's just amazing the difference in the two characters. But like I say, there are such subtleties in stuff that gets said, and I love the way that Annie goes from completely batshit crazy to loving, or vice versa, and just even, sometimes her tone stays quite similar, but just something in her facial expression. And James Caan, who I'm used to seeing in like gangster movies and stuff like that, he's not somebody, at the time certainly that I first saw this, I was like, I can't imagine him as the writer. And yet it's so believable. He's so brilliant in this very quiet but desperate role. It's an excellent direction by Rob Reiner. And it's an hour and 45 minutes long. But it doesn't feel that. If you like movies that are constantly bum 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 bum, then this won't be for you. But this is a tense thriller. It is easily one of my favourite movies, if not in my top 10, then certainly in my top 20 movies of all time, because it is just so enjoyable but so disturbing and just gripping. And it's bizarre for me to think that all these years later, after first seeing it, no matter how many times I've watched it, I still enjoy it each time, even when I know what's coming, even when I know the hobbling scene's coming. If you like your horror films, if you like your tense thrillers, if you like just dark, dark stuff, then please, if you have not watched this already, I easily give it a 9 out of 10. I'm sorry I sound like I'm gushing, but I really love this movie. That's 1990s Misery. That was tonight's movie. I'm so happy it was. We'll be back again tomorrow. I think we're with a drama. I think we're out of the horror genre now. But for now, this is Sketch. Just signing out. I can't think of what else to say. See ya. Bye.